watching us turn into dust and fall out of love. And I won't suck with the feeling I used to have back when we were kids and didn't know a thing. Alone in my room, watch the walls closing, hope someone would just walk in.
Broken glass on the hotel floor. Gotta face my past before I end up in your arms. In your arms. I write my thoughts on an empty page, but no matter what I do, I still feel the same in your arms. In your arms. Yeah, I've called and you won't pick up, so tell them that I'm gone and I won't wake up. I asked if you wanted love, I just wanted it to last. Now I'm sitting in a pile of my own glass. The emotions got me insane, feels like I'm losing my mind. We hoped we'd work through the pain, but now we've run out of time. You keep trying to undo me, that won't be my fate. What is life when the money and the fame gone? Broken glass on the hotel floor. Gotta face my past before I end up in your arms. In your arms. I write my thoughts on an empty page, but no matter what I do, I still feel the same in your arms. In your arms.
Yeah, for now sat in a pile of glass, reminiscing about our past and how I was happy then. Cause now my thoughts, they run away, and I need a safe place that used to be inside your arms. But nowadays it feels like
you keep trying to run through me, that won't be my fate. What is life when the money and the fame gone? Broken glass on the hotel floor. Gotta face my past before I end up in your arms. In your arms. I write my thoughts on an empty page, but no matter what I do, I still feel the same in your arms. In your arms.
Sipping on that walk and it's heavy now. Hey, running on my guap and it's steady now. Hey, I didn't want that top and it's been a while. Hey, trying all these pills, how I'm living now. Hey, sipping on that walk and it's heavy now. Hey, running on my guap and it's steady now. Hey, I didn't want that top and it's been a while. Hey, trying all these pills, how I'm living now. Hey, sipping on that walk and it's heavy now. Hey, running on my guap and it's steady now. Hey, I didn't want that top and it's been a while. Hey, trying all these pills, how I'm living now. Yeah, I didn't want that cake. She didn't want my money when I pull up in the rave. Hop on my way, but where am I going? Get into the cake, yeah, you know I'ma blow it. Yeah, you know I got a problem, but I just want a cake. Money on me, yeah, you know I won't change. Too many thoughts when I pull up in the range. Too many thoughts when I pull up in the range. Yeah, I didn't want a cake. cake. She didn't want my money when I pull up in the race. Hop on my way. Where am I going? Can't to the cake, yeah, you know I'ma blow it. Sipping on that walk and it's heavy now. Running on my guap and it's
We meet in a year.
I'm the storm that meets the moon. I'm the sun that will not move. Do you think you are? Who do you think you
Welcome everybody to RSCast, where we recap everything that happened in the previous week of RSC and what to look forward to in the next week. I'm Tavish, I'm going to be your host, and I'm joined by the two gentlemen who do it basically every week, who are the pioneers of this, Kingsman, Cass, and Buddha. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, alright, Kingsman. Yeah, cheers to that. Thank
Yeah,
you. Well, I'm doing great. I just realised I was all the way down at the bottom looking up to you two. So I just had to adjust that real quick. But I'm doing great. Definitely had a lot of sleep. I'm ready to go. But Kingsman, we're back, baby. The RSCast, me and you, the good old duo. We got Tavish alongside for us this week. I look forward to it. Hopefully there's not too much bullying.
True. Iconic duo and the rotating host, I guess. We'll find out every week who the new person is. It's like a mystery surprise for the viewers. They don't know who the host is going to be. But this week we got the lovely Tavish joining us alongside, who'll be guiding us through. Obviously this week, excited. New season, new competition. Which teams will start to storm the field? And well, let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like you said, new season, and we're going to start off with the low CDF. We're going to start with Prospect, with what happened last week. And Kingsman, I'm going to throw it to you first. What happened in Glaciers?
Well. To start it off, there were two sweeps to be precise. Caro getting a 4-0 onto Primordial, as they were the only team in Prospect Glaciers to lose both their series, getting beaten 4-0 by Caro and getting beaten 3-1 by Terra. Both sides were looking for a very strong start to their season, but something to recall here. No team in Glaciers won both their first series. Every team had a draw except for Terra, Parmis, and Primordial, who find themselves on wins and losses. And well, losses if you're in Primordial's corner. And as only one team to find two draws in Alta, they held Tomfoolery to a 2-2 and Caro to a 2-2. The two teams that swept held at bay by Alta. So maybe Alta have got something to show against those top teams.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one, with almost every team, like you said, again, a win or a draw, and then one team having two draws, one team having two losses. Curious to see how Alter is going to fare in the next week. But let's take a quick look at Ignis. Buddha, what happened there?
Well, as you can see, we see 4 sweeps there, but no team went 8-0. But we do have a couple of teams that did go 7-1 to start off their first opening week strong. To start off, we got Jabados. They got a 4-0 sweep onto Anubis. A nice little sweep. You can't complain about that. And then after that, they got a 3-1 victory as well onto Newborn, who also went on to lose to their other series to Propel, which is the other team who went 7-1. Propel, as mentioned, 3-1 against Newborn, and then winning 4-0 to Mosaic as well. So a very strong week for both those teams. 7-1, as said. But Anubis and Livens having a tough start to the season, both going 1-7 to start off. Anubis obviously losing 4-0 to Jabadas and then 3-1 to Tartarus. And then for Livens losing 4-0 to Dwarfs and 3-1 to Tartarus. So both teams, they still got a game out of what they could get. There was no 0-A week and there was no 8-0 week. So for the Ignis side, things are heating up. We saw a few sweeps, a couple of draws. But on average, we saw a lot of 3-1s and 4-0s. So Ignis is looking to heat up.
Yeah, and here are a little bit more sweeps than in the Glaciers conference, and obviously it's only 1 week, so not a lot of standings to talk about, but we're gonna go through them either way. Kingsman, I'm gonna throw it to you for the Glaciers standings.
Unlike Buddha, I'm not going to spoil the table in the results tab, but here we are. You say it's only week 1, but there's still a 5-win gap between 1st and 10th. So week 1 isn't everything, but it still does give teams a good jump start. But to start off, the 2 teams that swept, Caro and Tomfoolery, making up that 1 and 2 on 6 wins. And realistically, Tomfoolery have the higher goal difference. They're tied on goals for, which gives Caro the advantage. Once again, it's week 1 very early. And then Serene and Fearless tied for 5th place. Obviously, top 3 are those playoff spots. So getting into the season, we'll see how those things shape up. And then 4 wins, you see Terra, Parmis, and Alta. Those 3 teams all had good starts. 1 draw and 1 loss, and 2 draws in the case of Alta. So promising and still stuff to do for them. Hot Metal, though, they were a team to get a draw and a loss. No wins for these bottom 3, as they're on 3 wins. Limousine on 2, and well, Primordial lost both, and they sit on 1 win.
Yeah, and you said it there perfectly. Even though it's only week 1, there's still a 5-win difference between the 1st and the 10th seed. So it can create a gap, like you said. And with that, we had Glacy's results. Now let's take a look at the Ignis results, or Ignis standings, I should say.
Well, to start off, Juventus in first with 7 wins, alongside with Propel, both up there. Just 1 goal difference separating them both apart. But in that 3rd place spot, fighting to push up, it's going to be Tartarus and Dwarfs and Obscurity, all on 6 wins. Just very close within each other to push for that playoff spot early on in the season. But after that, we see the gap happen here in that 6th place spot. We're going to see Newborn there with 2 wins. They're going to be the team to start it off with. Cardinals following through with 2 of their own. Mosaic with 2 as well. And then finally down towards the lower end, we're going to see Livens and Anubis with 1. So for these bottom 4 teams, it could be anyone's in this week number 2. And it's going to be a little bit of a push for them to climb into that top 5. But the top 5 teams are going to be looking to fight for any type of switcheroo they could look for. This table could definitely flip. Anyway, it's only week 1, so it could always flip.
Yeah, you said it there perfectly, and we saw a little bit of a difference there. Glacy's a little bit tighter in standings, Ignis a bit of a bigger gap. But now let's take a look at what any interesting matchups that can happen in week 2 here. And Kingsman, I'm gonna ask you first, which matchup did you pick in the Glacy's conference?
Well, there's one big one that is tonight. Caro Tomfoolery. That is top of the table. Once again, it's week 1, but they are the 2 teams sat at the top at the minute. So one of them will be looking to push clear of the other. But now near down the bottom of the table, you've got Alta, Hot Metal. Neither team has won a series yet, but they are looking to push their way forward. Obviously, 3 wins and 4 wins. They will be looking to do a bit more in week 2 and propel themselves as a high-level team. And then more in the midfield, more looking at your playoff run teams. I picked out Fearless, Echo, and Terra. 3rd versus 5th, 1 win separates them. But Terra have scored more goals and conceded more, so a bit more of a shaky team there, potentially. But once again, it's week 1. Who am I to be making these accusations?
Yeah, definitely an interesting matchup, like you said, with Caro Tomfoolery already happening tonight, and also the top of the table so far. But let's take a look at Ignis. Buddha, what matchup did you pick?
Well, we see Tartarus have a pretty big week ahead of themselves. They will be playing the side of Dwarfs, who, they're tied with in that kind of 3rd way position. And then in their other matchup, they play Jabatas, who are obviously top of the table. So for Tartarus, they got a pretty big week. If they can go a positive week there, then they can probably solidify themselves for kind of that top 3 spot going into the future week. But the other matchups to look out for, Newborn and Cardinals, both 2 and 6. So it's going to be a great battle to see who can kind of hold the line on that top 6 kind of play in position. Obviously, it's very early to call those shots there, but hey, you got to be looking at it. You got to be setting yourselves up for the highest placement you can go as possible. And then for the other side, this is just a big week for Livens and Anubis. You go 1 and 7. Week 2 is your chance to redeem yourself. But for Livens, they got a pretty tough week. They got to play Propel, who went 7 and 1, and Obscurity, who went 6 and 2. So if Livens can, get at least a neutral week, they'll be looking good to bounce back after a tough start. But other than that, as it's only been week 1, every matchup is still as instrumental compared to the others.
Yeah, and like you said, Levin's definitely having an interesting week. I can already tell you they lost against Obscurity. It just happened. I just got the result in. So that week is already continuing really good. So let's move on to Challenger, as we're going to be looking at the results from the past week. And Kingsman, I'm going to throw it to you first again for Glacies.
Well, the complete opposite in the Glacies conference. A lot of teams getting 2 wins, a lot of teams getting 2 losses, 3 to be precise from both sides, and the others picking up a loss, a draw, or a win. But the big standout results here are going to be Disorder, getting their double 4-0, one onto Oracles and one onto Fearless Delta. They're the only team in Glacies to have 4-0 this week, and they do it twice. But also Masai had to add to Fearless's downfall, sending them 1-7. And well, Oracle's downfall is pushed even further by Mischief. So both teams have got swept, not continuing their good week run of form. But a lot of 3-1s and 4-0s shaping out that this conference is going to be very competitive this season.
Yeah, and you said it there perfectly. A very competitive conference with a lot of sweeps and a lot of big results happening. But let's take a look at Ignis. Buddha, what happened there?
Well, we only see 2 draws across the board. Other than that, it's just 4-0s and 3-1s. But Feather, they had an 8-0 week. We had a team to do it, and it was Feather to do so. They got a 4-0 sweep onto Orcus, and then followed through with a 4-0 sweep onto Crusaders as well. And then Crusaders also in the other series lost 4-0 as well. So for Crusaders, it was not a good week. But Impulse also almost made an 8-0 week to follow Feather, but just couldn't quite do it by game. They did get a 4-0 sweep onto Cadence, followed through with a 3-1 victory onto Elves. So it's a good week for them. And then we'll see, as mentioned just a little bit earlier, Crusaders losing 4-0 to Feather. They also lost 4-0 to Kadaho. So Crusaders going 0-8. Definitely, and of course, not the week that they're looking for. So for Crusaders, they just need to at least find a game in week number 2, and it's already an improvement. But other than that, we see a lot of victories across the board from all these teams. We're not seeing a lot of draws. All of these teams are coming out with the passion.
Yeah, so both conferences here in Challenger having one thing in common. Not that many draws, a lot of wins and losses. So with that, the standings will be very interesting. And I'm going to give it to you, Kingsman, first for Glacies.
Well, the team to top it up at the start, only conceding 8 goals, is going to be Disorder, with 8 wins at the top. Then Apprentices and Mischief, 2 3-1s will follow them through to be your top 3. Then with 5 wins sat on their own will be Masai. Only 3-win difference. But once again, I mentioned it was 5. It's 7 in this conference. So a 7-win difference in week 8 is massive. Week 1, people think, not really that big. But a difference is a difference. And sat on 4 wins is Neptunium and Gelbvi. And they will take up those top 6 spots, those play-in spots. Then just under them are Shrine on 3 wins, Serene Yamato on 2, and the 2 that got swept are down the bottom on 1 win.
Yeah, you said it there perfectly. A 7-win difference here between the teams. And Disorder going 8-0 here is massive for their standing. But I do think we also have a team that went 8-0 in the Ignis conference. And Buddha, I'm going to give it to you.
Yep, it was Feather to hold the fort. They're leading the charge 8-0. They're up the top with a 22 goal difference, securing just above 2+ of a goal difference every single victory so far. So if they can keep that up, looking to continue forward. But Impulse will be second with 7 wins, only 1 win behind, so anything can shake up there. But following from them is going to be Kadaho in 3rd place with 6. And then we can see a 2-way tie with Pardis and Elves on 5 wins each. Elves just slighting towards the negative goal difference, but it's only a -1. Eclipse in 6th with 4th, and then, you know what, we'll call him Cowpole. We got Cowpole in 7th. Yeah, that's my new team name for this team, okay? When I first saw it, I thought it said Cowpole. I don't ask how, but that's how I saw it. So this is now Cowpole on the RSCast for Buddha. They're going to be on 3 wins. And then we're going to have Cadence in 8th with 2. And then for the bottom 2 teams at 0 wins, we're going to have Orcus and Crusaders. And for it only being week 1, mathematically, Feather just need 1 game. And we can't see 10th or 9th flip to the top.
Okay, that's crazy to see for Feather. And one thing definitely, I don't even know how you mispronounce the name, but Kapekli definitely having a good week. But let's talk about next week coming up. Kingsman, I'm going to throw it to you again first. Any interesting matchup happening in Glacies?
Well, I looked at it and it's a lot of I know it's week 1 again, but like it's top and bottom matchups. You have Disorder Serene Fearless Apprentice, 2nd, 10th, 1st versus 8th. Shrine Fearless, I'd say that's one more closest to the bottom, 7th versus 10th. So Shrine having a massive week if they want to propel themselves forward. And the other one I picked up was Mischief Neptunium. One game win between them, and a massive gap between 3rd and 5th. Oh, 2 wins, sorry. I can't count. But yeah, a massive gap between them, and well, top 3. It's definitely possible for any of these teams. Once again, it's week 1. I'm speculating very much off week 1 results, and there might be maybe Fearless Delta come out and surprise us in this next week when Jez gets himself unbanned from series, and maybe Fearless Delta come through and push through.
Yeah, and one thing we do love is a lot of speculation, so I hope your speculations are right to create a very interesting standings. But we have to wait another week to find that out. But in the meantime, we can take a look at the Ignis fixtures for next week.
Well, Feather, they've got one, on paper, an easy matchup against the Cadence. That is tomorrow, so that could be maybe an upset for Feather there, maybe to cause to happen. But their other matchup, Feather versus Elves. For the other teams, they're going to be, rooting for Elves, so, to take down that 8-0 team. All it takes for Feather is to have another really good week, and then they'll start building that lead. So the whole conference is probably going to be praying that Elves will take a result there, and I'm sure they're going to want it as well, going 5-3 so far. But also, we are going to see the side of Kadaho go up against Impulse, both up in that top 3 spot. A 7-1 team from the Impulse side going against Kadaho, who are 6-2. So that's going to be a big matchup as well for that top fight to see who can kind of join Feather for that top spot for now. We'll also see Eclipse have a matchup to play a part. They'll be going up against the side of Orcus. For Orcus, going 0-8 with an FF loss as well. This is, a time to redeem themselves with also playing Canaans as well, who are down the bottom with them, but with 2 wins. So for Orcus here, this is a good redemption week for themselves. Also for Crusaders, who went 0-8 as well. Redemption is on the cards. Obviously, they got to play Pardus, but they also got to play Elves as well. So not an easy week for Crusaders, but hey, anything can happen. It's only been week 1. We'll see who can switch the table, or we'll see who can continue their dominance.
Yeah, so like you said, 2 teams with an opportunity for redemption here in week number 2. And definitely 2 teams to look out for if they can make it happen here going forward in this week. But that's enough for Challenger. Let's move up another tier. We're going to Rival. And we're going to take a look at the Glacies results from last week.
Well, once again, I've been blessed with another team to do 2 sweeps and be the only team in the conference to do it. Journeyman this time. And once again, I hate to do this to Buddha, but it's another Fearless team that ends up on the end of a sweep. And it's going to be Journeyman who sweep them and Montbéliard. What a week these teams are having, being the only teams going 4-0, but rest of the board competitive with only 2 draws in the remaining games of the tiers. And well, it's very close as the Fearless' other game they were beaten, and Montbéliard pulled a draw against Yoruba, which held them back potentially from the top spots. We'll see, but once again, a lot of 1 wins, 1 losses in this conference. Mirage get a 3-1 onto Sanctum, but then get beaten by Anarchy. Anarchy then get beaten by Yoruba. It's all over the place. It's week 1, rosters are figuring themselves out after preseason, and well, everything's all over the place.
Yeah, and like I said, you were blessed with 1 very successful team, and the rest is all over the place. Let's see if Buddha is also so blessed as we're in... I'm just curious, what happened in Ignis?
Well, so there was no team who popped off with an 8-0. No 7-1s. But we got 4 teams who went 6-2. So we got to highlight them. So for the teams that underperformed, you're lucky. I'm letting you survive for week 1, okay? You're not going to get mentioned about your defeats. But to start it off, we got Onka with their 6-2 week. They got a 2-2 onto Sentinels, which is being the only draw in Ignis, just to put that to note. But they also got a 4-0 sweep onto Erebos as well. So a good, strong week 1 for Onka. But for Tizok, we'll go with that. Maybe it's called TikTok. Who knows at this point? They got a 3-1 onto Nightfall, followed with a 3-1 onto Ash, claiming their 6-2 week with 2 wins. So it's a very strong start for them. Then Sentinels, even getting a 2-2 draw, they still got a positive week, going a 4-0 sweep onto Norn. So it's a great regain there after a draw. Then the final team to go 6-2 is Continuum. You know, we got that one right. You know, pat on the back for Buddha right there. They also 3-1 Nightfall as well, and followed that through, replicated another 3-1 onto Caligo. So for Continuum, they're looking for a 2-win week alongside with Tizok, aka TikTok, and then Sentinels and Onka, both still going 6-2 with a draw. So pretty impressive for those two sides.
Yeah, a lot of interesting results happening in the Ignis Conference. And now let's take a look at the standings and how everything's shaped up. And first, of course, we're going to take a look at the Glaciers Conference.
Yeah, and well, as I said, we were blessed with a 8-0 team, and Journeyman only conceding 8 as well. Like, is this like a blessing in disguise? I don't know. Someone's making my life very easy, and I'm not complaining. But Serene Meiji, they're going to be second on 6 wins, and Yoruba third on 5. A gap already between first and fourth. It's 4 games. A series gap after week 1 to that playoff spot is ridiculous. Fair enough to Journeyman. They have got a bit of an advantage, but can they hold it now? Time will only tell, as Anarchy, Mirage, and Mystics are on 4 wins, making up the play-in spots. Uranium and Sanctum sat on 3, Montbelliard in 9th, and Fearless Charlie are sat on 10th.
Yeah, and here again, a 7-win difference between first and 10th seed is huge. And I'm curious to see how the fixtures will impact this going into next week. But first, we're moving to the Ignis Conference with Buddha.
So I mentioned about the 6-2 weeks from those sides. Well, that's pretty much all it is there in the top 3, I believe now, because Raiju actually played a series. So in the top 3, all 6-2, just a goal difference slightly apart, but it will be Onka to favour that one out by 4 compared to Tizok. So in 4th place will be Raiju. They are on 6 wins. They have played that series in hand. They have just played Ash, as we can see there. So, you know, with the teams behind them, they've got a series in hand to kind of catch up or take over. It's going to be Continuum in 5th with 6 alongside with them. Then Ash in 6th with that series played. They'll be on 4 wins with a minus 18 goal difference. So maybe they're going to be looking to fix that defense up heading into week number 2 for their final series. But Erebos in 7th with 3 wins, tied alongside with Norns in 8th. They'll be looking to battle up into that play-in position. And then Caligo and Nightfall will be at the bottom with 2 wins. But you know, only having 2 wins, the goal difference is looking good. So the games have been close. They just can't close out the end of the games to find those victories. So they could be teams to look out for in week number 2.
Yeah, and like you said, Raju and Ash already played that extra series. And with that, you have 5 teams on 6 wins, which is huge to have everyone so close. But obviously, they already have that series, so that kind of makes it a little bit unfair here. But let's take a look at the fixtures for this week to see if any interesting matchup is happening. And first we're gonna look at the Glaciers fixtures.
Yeah, we are. As we see, we're blessed with 3 games today. Montbelliard Serene, Mystics Mirage, and Journeyman Yoruba. Journeyman will be looking to extend their lead against Yoruba. Obviously, it's a first versus third. And Serene will be looking to push closer as they play Montbelliard in 9th place. The one team I think have a massive week here is Fearless Charlie. They play Sanctum tomorrow, which is a team in 8th place, and they play Uranium in 7th on the 19th. So massive games for them all round. If they're going to show themselves as a, maybe not a bottom team, because at the minute they are sat 1-7, the only team in the conference to do so. But towards the top of the table, Journeymen have Yoruba, and they also have Anarchy. So a big week for them. They can push the gap even further, those top 3 spots, and maybe see the earliest breakaway in RSC history.
That's definitely an interesting fact for Journeyman, but also all the other matchups definitely worth watching out for. But let's take a look at Ignis. Buddha, are there any interesting matchups happening on your side?
Well, as we saw the standings, Raiju and Ash have already played. That was a 2-2 result. And Raiju, you know, with a draw, they took away a 5+ goal difference with an opening 6-1 in game 1. So it's a good start for them of that series. But that did result in a 2-2. And also today we've got Nightfall versus Sentinels. A pretty big game for Nightfall. Obviously, Sentinels are top team, 6-2, and as I said, Nightfall probably a team to look out for. They've got pretty good goal difference, matching up with their record. So Nightfall, they could maybe take some games there. That's definitely a match to look out for as the results come in. But following that as well, we're gonna have Erebos go up against, you know what? I'm not going to say it. We'll call them Tizok. We'll call them Tizok, okay? Just for Snow there. That's a big, big matchup. For Tizok, they're up in the tables. You've not drawn, you've not lost, and Erebos are one of those teams that are going to be looking to kind of pinch themselves into that top half. So, it's kind of a series of, you got to keep kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I've had no sleep. What's the word? I do not know, so I'm just going to carry on. But either way, there's probably one to look out for. And we got Sentinels as well going up against Caligo. As I mentioned earlier, again, with Nightfall, they're playing another team who are probably a team to look out for. So for Nightfall, Sentinels, they're just playing the two teams that maybe, I don't want to say dark horse because we know how that went last season in the league, but just saying. Like, I'm just saying, But other than that, a matchup that I'm looking forward to as well would be we're up the top. Obviously, you've got all the teams playing each other. We're going to have Continuum going up against Tizok as well. Both teams 6-2. Both teams have won both of their series. Well, are we going to see a team finally get their first loss, or will we see a draw on the table?
Yeah, like you said, Continuum Tizok is definitely an interesting matchup, and I hope there is going to be a winner there, because a draw would kind of be a boring result if you're having two of the top teams facing off against each other. But that is enough for Rival. Let's move up to Elite. And Kingsman, I'm going to throw it to you first again. What interesting results happened in Glacies?
Well, there was only one team to go 2-0, but for once it wasn't two sweeps. Temple go 4-0, and they go 3-1 onto Serene. And Serene, they had a bit of a mixed week. They got beaten by Temple and managed to go on and beat Fearless Brother. When it looked like it was going to be another Fearless team in the mud, it turned out Fearless went on to 4-0 Anju. And what Buddha was telling me was a bit of a Game 4 miracle comeback. So, for once, a Fearless team pulling something back this season. Maybe it will help the other teams. well, I mean, the other teams are sat in 10th of the minute, Buddha. So I don't want to. I don't want to do that. But
guys, help me.
Might be better off here. And we'll leave Buddha to be bullied for now. As Bladesmith's another team to go 4-4 with one win and one draw. A lot of that all across the board. But I'm not going to spoil the standings. Those are your interesting Glacies results this week.
Yeah, you definitely made it interesting for us, and I'm already excited for the standings. But first, Buddha, you got a little bit bullied there. But any interesting results happened in the Ignis conference?
You know what, Kingsman? It's coming your way. You wait. I'll get my revenge when we get to the standings. Okay. But we're here for the results. Well, my Season 11 Dark Horses. They have risen in Season 12. A 6-2 week from Tigris. They got a 4-0 sweep onto Scorch, followed with a 2-2 draw onto Darkness. One of the two draws, I believe, in the Ignis Conference. It's a good week to start off for them, but also Carbo. They got a 6-2 week in 2 victories. They beat a Holdra. That is a VK team right there, Kingsman. Carbo get a 3-1 victory there, and also a 3-1 onto Velocity. So a good 2 wins for them. And we're going to have Embry go 6-2 as well. Snow, why'd you do this to me? They get a 3-1 victory onto It's Kotal. I'm going to go with that. If that's wrong, I'm changing the name to It's Cole, okay? The other victory... The other victory was onto Darkness with a 3-1 as well. No 4-0s, but at least they got the 2 wins. And then the final team to touch on here was Scorch. They didn't go 0-8, but they did find one game, and they lost to Vanguards 3-1, and then got swept by my goated Dark Horses, the Tigris side, in a 4-0. So for Scorch, struggling to put together a piece of a draw or a victory, but it's not fumbled with an 0-8 week, so it's not a complete fail.
Yeah, and perfectly described by you that your Dark Horse had such a good week. And I can tell you, with that Carbo Holdra result, you have a very happy host and maybe not so happy co-host. But let's talk about standings. And Kingsman, I'm going to throw it to you first again for the Glacies conference.
I know what, I'm happy because my teammate in 10th yet. But moving on to the standings, You have Temple going to be in first. It's not an 8 wins, it's 7 wins, but still a gap to Zulu, Fearless, and Deception, who will be taking those 3rd, 4th, and 5th spot and 5 wins. Once again, very close as Bladesmiths and Serene. I kind of spoiled it as they take up the final play-in spots with one game gap to 2nd, and Profits and Severance in 8th. They have a 2-game gap to 2nd and a 3-game gap between Saturnia and Anju on the bottom.
Yeah, I think this is the closest Glacier standings that we have so far, with the difference between 1st and 10th only being 5 wins, instead of having 6 or 7, where there's like a massive gap. But let's take a look at Ignis if it's the same situation over there.
Yeah, first of all, if the Azteca fans can help me from Kingsman abuse, I'll pronounce your team names right. But to start things off, we've got Tigris. We've got Tigris in first with 6 wins. We don't see 7, we don't see 8. We see one team with a substantial goal difference, 20 plus, only conceding 6 goals. That's less than 1 goal a game. This was it. I maintained the dark horses last season. They didn't succeed. But this season, they have risen from the dead, so they're doing it this season. But Carbo in 2nd on the 6 wins as well, alongside with Embry, they'll be fighting for that top 3 spot. But Holdra in 4th with 5 wins, with a negative goal difference. Unfortunate there, Kingsman. But in 5th, it's going to be Thanatos with 4 wins, and behind them in a 4-way tie. You know what? We're going to go with it. It's Coatl. We'll go with that. Vanguard's in 7th, and Velocity and Darkness all in that tie with 3 wins. Darkness not kind of edging away with that goal difference alongside with them. But Scorch will be your team in 10th. They do have a win on the board, so they're not completely down and out. And it's still possible for them to get to the top. And thank you, Sunday Esports, for the raid. We appreciate it very, very much. Welcome all the new viewers.
Yes, and well, this is definitely a very close standing here in Ignis, with only 5 wins between 1st and 10th, and a lot of teams at the same position with the number of wins. But let's take a look at the fixtures for this coming week. And Kingsman, any interesting matchups happening in the Glaciers Conference?
Well, normally I'm blessed with at least 1 game tonight, but no, instead we have 4 games on Sunday featuring 8 different teams. But your biggest games, I think you have obviously Profits, and I think it was Anarchy or Severance. I'm still getting used to that. They've changed it from last season. It was Anarchy last season, but Profits, Severance, 8th and 7th. They're both on 3 wins across the board. Temple, Bladesmiths. Bladesmiths obviously being a mid-table team looking to push further forward. And well, the big one, Zulu, Fearless. Fearless getting off to an alright start, and Zulu alright as well with 5 and 3 in 2nd and 3rd. Which one of them wants that playoff spot so badly that they're going to push on and get a result in that series? Well, I guess we'll find out on the 17th.
Yeah, the 17th definitely having a very interesting matchup. But like you said, on the Sunday, 8 teams facing off against each other, and no team is double there. But let's take a look at the fixtures for the Ignis Conference, as I think, Buddha, there are quite a couple interesting matchups happening this week.
Of course. Also, Kingsman, I don't know if you have intel for the Scorch and Hold Your game today. Has that been played? Has it been finished, or is it still to be played?
No, it is played at 9 BST, so in 23 minutes it gets played. They're in scrims at the moment.
Well, you got that game today. That's definitely a big one, especially for Scorch. Obviously, as we mentioned, a 1 in 7 weeks, so they're going to be looking to find some results there for their side. But we're going to see some other big matchups. We've got, deep breath, it's Coatl versus Vanguard. Both sides went 3 and 5. They're in kind of that mid-pack of the table, so that's a big match to kind of separate the two as well. And then they also follow to play Tigris as well, who are at the top, showing dominance with their goal different stat lines. So if they can find a really good week, they could maybe solidify themselves as the top team to take down in the Ignis Conference. But to follow through with those tough games, we've got Tigris and Carbo. Both sides up the top 6 and 2. Carbo haven't drawn or lost a series in their first week, so they're going to be looking to continue that momentum. And they'll also play Embry, who are alongside 6 and 2, who have also won both of their series. So there's some really big matchups here in the Ignis Conference to really kind of flip the table around in that top half. But for your lower table teams, we've got to give some hype for them. There's always stuff going around. We've got Darkness playing against Thanatos. For Darkness and Thanatos, only 1 game separates the two. and they're in a difference of 4 places in the standings. So that just shows how close it is after week 1. So every game is going to be really, really critical for these teams to switch their positions.
Yeah, you said it there perfectly. A lot of interesting matchups happening in the Ignis Conference, and after this week, we can already see every team in a completely different spot. So, already looking forward to next week to see what happened there. But now, let's move on to the next tier. Let's move on to Master. And Kingsman, I'm going to ask you first, what happened in Glacies?
Well, another Fearless team got swept. Dominion
Come on,
getting
man.
the only sweep. It was the only sweep, but I don't know what the graphic doesn't want to show
It never happened.
See,
It never happened.
Even Source is a Buddha supporter in this chat. Like, yeah, but I'll just tell you from what I got on my notes. The only sweep coming out from Dominion, it was a 4-0 onto Fearless Alpha. And, well, we all know what they did a comeback last season. But apparently not this season, as they go on for a 4-0. They did also pick up a 2-2 Dominion against Messias. So they were a strong roster. They finished second last season. I know they did a bit of a switch up. So we'll wonder how they get there. Dogon, they did go 2-0 this week with 2 3-1s. One onto Haven and one onto Serene Nara. But Fearless weren't the only team to lose both series this week. Phoenix did as well, getting beaten by Illusion and getting beaten by Iovi. So with some teams on 2 wins and 2 losses, maybe we'll see a Fearless team not at the bottom and quite a close gap.
Yeah, a lot of... well, you described that perfectly, actually. I'm curious to see how the standings are with all those results. But now, Buddha, I hope you're prepared for those very well, because I'm going to ask you for the Ignis Conference.
Yep, I've got you. There you go, done. As you can see, results on screen. That's what I've got you for Ignis. All right, next, let's go. Right, now I'm joking. Don't worry, don't worry. I've got you with some results. Well, you can't see all of them, so we're just gonna have to go with the ones that I've picked out. So, I'm sorry if you came here to see me talk about your teams, and we can't see your results. So, unfortunate. Take the L half. I know you're here for that. But to start it off, we've got Nox. They went 6-2 with their 2 victories to start off their week. They got a 3-1 onto Leo, followed with a 3-1 victory onto Infinity. I know half, don't worry. I was going to talk about it, but unfortunately, we can't see the results. And we got Fenrir, who went 6-2 as well. They got a 3-1 victory onto Hades, followed through with another 3-1 victory onto Draugr. They are your 2 teams who went 6-2. And then to mention, Draugr and Transcend both went 5-3. I can't tell you who they beat, as we can see, but also Leo and Abyss going 4-4 as well. But Gladiators having a tough start to the season, 2-6, losing 3-1 to Leo, followed with a 3-1 loss to the Abyss as well, finding 2 losses. I think they're the only team who lost both of their series in the opening week. So for Gladiators, week 2 is the bounce back week.
Yeah, and with that, obviously, we wanted to talk about a little bit more results. But let's talk about standings instead, as we're going to take a look at the Glacies Conference first. And Kingsman, I'm going to throw it to you.
Here we go. Hey, here we go. The graphic is responding. As now we go... Oh, well, you can see the logos. So, you know what? I'm going to read the team names out for you, and I'm going to read out what score they're on. So, Dominion and Dogon, they are on 6 at the minute, all tied up. But Dominion have that better goal difference. Iovi and Illusion, they're on 5 wins and making out the play-off spots, 3rd and 4th. Then with 4 wins, you have Messias, Serene, and Heck, all on 1 win or 1 loss. But Messias did pick up 2 draws in that, so yet to find a win themselves. And your bottom 3 also yet to find a win. Haven, Phoenix, and Buddha. I hate to say it, but...
The graphics broken. The graphics broken. That's not us.
I see the Fearless logo.
That's not us. The graphics broken. Source, back me. That's broken.
We're seeing Fearless Alpha again. They have the Fearless Alpha curse. He had it good one season, and it's going back to the way it was. So yeah, the logos are there, but a gap of from 6 wins in Dominion and Dogon to 1 in Fearless Alpha.
Well, you can at least see it this way. No one knows how bad the scorelines were at this point. You can just see that they're 10th. Maybe it's all 6 and 5 wins, very close to each other. But enough of Glacies. Buddha, let's throw it to you for Ignis Conference.
Well. Ignis. We've got no 7, we've got no 8. I mean, you're probably not going to see the numbers anyway, but starting it up, we're going to have Nox in the first place position. I think we're still with the Glaciers one, so for now, they're going to be called under the Symbiotes franchise. Why not? Just change the logo.
Whoa. Let's
Rebrand.
let's not go there.
No? Oh, okay. Well, just to fill in for the viewers, we had Nox in first, going 6-2. Then we had Fenrir in second with 6-2 as well. The goal difference being 11 apart. And then in third, we had Draugr going 5-3, alongside with Transcend, who are in fourth with 5-3 as well, 3 goal difference apart. Then in fifth, we had Leo going 4-4 with a neutral goal difference. Then Abyss in sixth, going 4-4 as well with a negative 1. Then in seventh, we had Hades going 3-5 with Infinity, who also went 3-5, 1 goal difference separating both of those teams. And in your bottom 2 spots, we're going to see Gladiators in ninth, going 2-6, as I mentioned earlier, the only team who lost both of their series. And then in 10th, Montezuma, I definitely got that one right, going 2-6 as well, but finding themselves a draw. So they've at least found some success. They've just got to continue into some more success to get out of that 10th place spot as well. As a GM, I definitely know how that spot feels right now.
Yeah, and with that, hopefully the graph will upload on this one. Let's move to the fixtures. Let's see what's happening this week in the Master tier. And, well, we do have a graphic. Just, Kingsman, I hope you prepared everything. Buddha for you as well. But first, Glaciers Conference. Kingsman, go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of games around the table. You have Haven that play Serene 8th and 5th with a 1-game gap. Heck play Messias in a game of the 4-game wins. But at the top, you have Dominion who play Phoenix first versus 9th, and Dogon who play Fearless 2nd and 10th. So if Dogon would like to put Buddha even more in their misery and continue their winning streak, be my guest, because they're looking to do so at the minute. But the other big matchup I put, 3rd versus 4th, IOV versus Illusion, both on 5 wins, both wanting to secure that final playoff spot. I know it's early, and you're not securing anything really, but you get an advantage over the other one, which in week 1 or week 2 is massive.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. An advantage over the other couple teams in week 2 is a massive head start going into week 3, 4, and the rest of the season. But first, Ignis Conference, Buddha, what interesting fixtures did you pick there?
Well, we got Leo going up against Draugr. Both sides 1 win and a loss, 1 game apart from each other. So it's definitely going to be a series to see if Leo can catch up or even take over. We also have Transcend going up against the side of Fenrir as well. Both of these sides 1 game separating both of them as well. So a big series there. We also have Infinity going up against the Gladiators. Both sides down the bottom 3 side of the table. 1 win separating them as well. So a big series there. Most of the matchups, they're playing teams where they're just 1 win ahead or 1 win behind. So it's a lot of big series for these teams to play. We also see Montezuma, looking to bring themselves back into it. They've got an average week on paper. They play Abyss, who are 4-4, so it could be, maybe looking at a draw there. But they also will be playing the side of Hades as well, who are 3-5. So for Montezuma here, if they can find a positive week, that's going to be definitely a good, back on track moment for them. And for Nox, really, is to maintain the top spot. They play the sides. They play Hades and Draugr. So that Draugr matchup is definitely going to be a tough one to keep that top spot.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of interesting fixtures happening as well. And with that, normally we would go to Premier, but Premier doesn't start until week 3, if I'm correct. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you are.
Cool, I had it correctly in the first guess. So, that was Master. Now let's take a look at the franchise standing, because obviously after 1 week, 5 teams playing, a lot of results coming in. Some franchises will be at the top, some at the bottom. And Kingsman, I'm going to throw it to you first for the bottom half of the franchise standings.
I'll wait to see if we get the graphic up a minute. But if not, I will go with it from scratch. I'll give everyone the wins and losses table. Obviously, 40 games played, so it will estimate the wins itself. but it doesn't look like the back end is willing to work with Source. So I'll go with it. We get confirmation from him himself, and right, I'll run through it. 20th place in the bottom again is going to be Fearless on 13 wins, but they are tied in bottom for once with Fort Templar, who are on 13 wins as well. 18th is going to be Ox Gaming from the Glaciers Conference. 17th might have Hades from the Ignis Conference, and Visionary will take up 16th. Newcomers Azteca predicted as, I think it was best new franchise of the season or something. Along those lines, they are in 15th. Tavish's DSQ will be sat in 14th. Green Phoenix will be sat in 13th. Systema will be sat in 12th. Shadow 11th and Sanctuary 10th. I know that's not how they are, but there has been a game series reported between Green Phoenix and Luna, which has shifted the score standings a bit. So, Buddha, take us away with the top 10.
Well, the top 10, as mentioned, Sanctuary in 10th with that 20 wins, 20-20. But going up into 9th, we're going to have Team Serene with 21-19, but just one game ahead. It's going to be Symbiotes in 8th place, 22-18. And then one game ahead of them, we're going to see Forg in 7th with 23-17. And guess what? One game ahead of them, we're going to see in 6th, Valkyrie Knight, 24-16, with a decent amount of sub-series played, a pretty good start. But one game ahead of them also is going to be Luna Esports in 5th. Now this surprises me. It's been a long time since we've seen Luna Esports kind of in that top 5. So it's a very strong start for them, going 25-19. And then just to keep the pattern going, one game ahead of them is going to be Illusory in 4th, 26-14. And guess what? One game ahead of them in 3rd, Shaman Esports, 27-13. A very, very solid start for Shaman. A very good start this season for them after the last season. But guess what? One game ahead of them in 2nd place, Momentum, 28-12. A great start for Momentum here. A new franchise, but not new management. Very good experience under the cards, and it's very showing in the franchise standings. But unfortunately, not one game ahead. It has to stay the same. In 1st place on 28-12, your top franchise at the end of week 1 is Panthera Esports, going by goal difference of 53. They'll take that 1st spot. And I've got to say, what a top half of franchise standings we have. We're seeing new franchises and franchises we don't really particularly see in that top half have come up really strong in week 1. So it's great to see.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And now that I'm quickly taking a look over the entire franchise standings, it's actually from bottom to top, it's always +1 or tied, and then +1, +1, +1. So everything is really close regarding the standings. But with that, we had all the tiers, we had the franchise. Now let's take a look at, I want to say, the clip of the week, but sadly we didn't get any submissions this week. So if you want to have your clip here on RSCast, make sure to actually submit them, because, you know, it's pretty important. But to compensate, we do have a fail of the week, and I hope it's working everything. Let's take a look at this beautiful fail. Sorry. Well, a beautiful fill there. Own goal, I think it was Master Tier, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I don't know the player or the team since.
I believe it was Hyrule on Fenrir against Droga.
Kingsman with the knowledge. Well, it is definitely let's rewatch it, because obviously it's worth the rewatch. It's a beautiful clip, actually. You have to give credit where credit's due. Yeah, a beautiful fail of the week there. I want to say congratulations, but I also don't want to say congratulations. So I know Kingsman has a lot of experience with being the fail of the week, so he knows if it's worth the congratulations. But I do have to apologize on this one. Sadly, due to some issues on the back end, we can't do the weekly awards. So for this week, sadly, no information on that. But fingers crossed that we'll have everything set up next week. But before we go, Kingsman, Buddha, any final thoughts?
Well, obviously it is week 1, so as I said this last season, I'll say it again. There's a lot for teams to prove still. Week 1, rosters are just cementing themselves. So we make all these predictions of teams moving up. If you're near the bottom and we've kind of disrespected you, well, I'll give you 3 words. Cry about it. And, well, prove us wrong as well. Honestly, I want you to prove us wrong. I want to see you up the top. I want to be talking about your team's success in week 2 and week 3 and how you make a comeback to the top of the table. Mainly fearless teams if you're on Glacies. But, you know what?
I was
Those
waiting
teams
for
in
it.
9th and 8th, they still have a chance to push back, and I want to see them do that.
You know what? All I'm gonna say is hashtag stop Buddha abuse. That's all I'm gonna say. At this point. But either way, my comment to the fail of the week. If it's any consolation, I like the car. You know, I like the colour blue. You've got the sky blue Dracos, got the angel wings. I don't know what the decal is, but it's a nice blue. So yeah, there's some credit to the fail of the week, but it's a beautiful goal. Just do some editing, switch the colours, boom, you got a clip for the Taj. You know what I mean? But hashtag Carol Buddha abuse. Okay, right. You know what? I'm going to announce my retirement from the RSCast. You're not going to see me again at this point.
Pat's got my back.
So, yeah, what Pat? Paposa? Right, that's it. You know what? Shaman Esports in the second week. I hope they downgrade in those franchise standards.
What?
I'm watching.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Before we start derailing here, obviously, I enjoyed my time being back here on RSCast, and obviously with you two lovely gents here, just doing everything, hearing your banter from one of the first people ever. But you know, RSCast, RSC, everything wasn't possible without all our amazing sponsors. Obviously, we have Rule 1, the biggest sponsor we have, making sure everything is possible. Same as Brick and Brack, Synthesized Design, Panthera Esports, Badass, Gamers Apparel, and Gamers Beat Cancer. And if you think we have a lot of sponsors, yes we do, but we do appreciate them all. And with Panthera Esports and Gamers Beat Cancer, we do have monthly tournaments. So if you want to participate with besides RSC, also in a couple cool tournaments, make sure to follow us on all our socials, at RSC_EU, to stay up to date on all the deadlines when you can sign up and what the prize pool will be. But with that, we're going to be signing off. I hope everyone enjoyed the RSCast this week. Sadly, a little bit of issues, but next week we will be back with everything fixed. Fingers crossed on that one. For now, signing off. See you next week.
I'm the storm that meets the moon. I'm the silent one that mourns. Who you think you are? Who you think you
Since I met you, I think that I'm over it, but then I see you out again, laughing with a group of friends. There he is, you're holding hands, makes me feel pathetic and a little bit erratic. So I drink till I can't stand, and you know I won't confront you, even though it's all I wanna do. Probably best to just ignore it, both impossible and true. I wasn't fine to begin with, walked all those lines to begin with. But you forced me to work on myself because you put me through hell. Thank you for that. I'm okay, but it was a real close call. You went from a walk to a crawl, and a dead on a Berlin Wall. I was panicking, but hey, I guess
with me now. The pedals hit the floor. And what you get is what you got when you can't pull no more. I'm okay, but it was a real close call. It went from a walk to a crawl. Every time I pull it wrong, I was panicking, but hey, I guess that I survived you. And that shit was hard to do. I've had every shade of blues since I met you. Pour up for a good time, Corona, get that good vibe. Drinking till the sunrise, just like we used to do. Mexico, let's go there. Yeah, sex is slow, I don't care. Where we go as long as I'm there with you. Just like we used to do.
Still tired like your friends, what we used to do. I say the feeling's mutual. Distance between us dissolves when I fly over. Pull up, shotgun, sitting wide open. Hop in, tell me how your life been. Used to talk every day till the night's end. Been a year now, I'ma need the whole school. You thriving, update me on them goals too. Yeah, I could listen to you forever. Filling up a few of them strong, never let them take us anywhere they plan to. Don't jump the gun, but when we sippin' something, you already know what's up. Lean back, I'll take you where we used to go. We both familiar on what the future holds. Bottoms up for the time that we wasted. Later we got reacquainted.
Pour up for a good time, Corona, get that good vibe. Drinking